Hi, my name is Andy, and I run the company called Andy Arts Painting here in Canmore, Alberta. Today I'm going to show you how to cut and roll a wall. I'd also like to give a huge thanks to Benjamin Moore in Canmore, Alberta. They have provided me with all the materials that I need to do this video for you guys. So you just got back from your Benjamin Moore local store, and you got yourself your paint and your tray, and you're all ready to put the paint into the tray. You open it up. One of the most important things when you're doing this is this tray that you have here, or I should say this lid. You see all this paint here? You want to make sure that you take it off. So take your brush, scoop it off to the side here, and now your lid's going to dry up, which will be good, and there won't be any big huge chunks of paint that dries, which you have to watch out for, because if you reuse it again, those chunks can get loose and then they can get into your paint. Make sure that you give yourself a good stir to mix all the paint together. And take yourself your brush and wipe it off. Okay, now take your paint, pour it in, and leave yourself a little bit. Make sure you take your brush, wipe off the sides, inside the groove, so it's nice and clean. Leave yourself a little bit of paint in there. You have yourself a cut can, which you can put your brush in, and your roller's ready to roll on the wall. With your brush here, when you put it in your paint can, make sure that you don't put it sideways. Putting it sideways will bend the feathers on your paintbrush. You're better off putting it in like this and keeping it nice and straight. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you dip your brush in, and then you have paint on both sides. So you don't want that. You always stroke it along the edge so you have paint only on one side of your brush. Now, it's also important that you always scrape on this side here, not on that side, so you can always have a nice clean edge. So when you put your can down and your brush, you can put it down and you have no paint on the handle. So that's one of the things that you want to remember about when you start cutting. So you dip your brush in, scrape it on the side, get a little bit on there, and I end up putting the excess down, and then I start going across like that, and every now and then I'll bring it down. And what that does is if there's any paint here that wants to drip down off your brush, it won't. And then you end up going back and you smooth it out. You make sure that you get all those little ridges gone. And yeah, and so this is the first coat. So we're not too worried about getting it perfect. And again, you wipe off on the same side. I always put a little bit down and I cut across. I go back, and I'm always going back to the wet edge, it's called, and making sure that there's no ridge lines. And you also want to make sure that there's no ridge lines at the bottom as well. All right, so you roll your cage on the top here, and you get yourself some paint on your sleeve, and you just roll up and down it for a little bit. Now, what I like to do is I make sure that I work it in. I don't worry about getting to the very top quite yet. I'll do that afterwards, nor at the bottom. The most important thing is just working it in. You can spin it around here if you're stuck in a corner, and making sure that you're getting all of it. So now that I've rolled it, I'll go to the as high as you can. Now, you really got to make sure that you do not hit the ceiling, all right? You hit the ceiling, well, you can fix it with some white paint, but white is the hardest color to match. So Just make it a rule that you're not allowed hitting the ceiling. Again, I'll do 2 strokes, about 2 widths of the sleeve, and I'll work it in so I'm getting the paint nice and smooth throughout the whole area. I'm not worried about, again, getting to the very top, but now that I do that, I'm going to go right to the top, right to the bottom with 1 full motion, and I'll be working my way all the way back to the wet edge, to where I last did it. You put your sleeve into your tray and you end up rolling it like this here. And I like turning it back and forth and always leaving a nice clean tray like that with no lips. You touch it a little bit, get some paint on your sleeve, make sure you work it in. That's what you want to do. You don't want to just do this. You do that, you're not getting any paint on this side. You always want to make sure that you're rolling it. So you're lifting it, rolling it, lifting it, and rolling it. And you make your tray nice and clean. You always want to make sure that you have the right amount of pressure throughout the whole wall. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want to push too soft. You want to find that beautiful, smooth glide and up and down. Again, you get to the very top if you can. And you make sure that there's never any lips. What I mean by lips are ridges. A huge amount of paint that will leave a ridge down the line. This is fine, but if it's sticking out and it looks like a single line, you want to make sure that you get rid of that right away. When you're rolling the wall, you want to make sure that you got good form to your body. You don't want to be bending too much. This is the form that I use that helps me work for many hours a day. Yeah, if you see, I'm not bending my back at all. Don't use this form here. You'll see how I'm bending back and going up and down. All I'm doing is I'm using my arms mostly. So you'll be able to last a long day if you don't bend your back so much and you let your arms do the work. You want to make sure that you cover it so the paint doesn't dry. And it's very simple. Find yourself some nice plastic, hold it underneath on all the areas here. Get a little bit of that air out, but don't touch the paint that's in the tray. And that's it, you're done. And you can actually leave this overnight. So the sequence of events will be, you cut, you roll, you cut, and you roll, and you make sure that you sand in between the coats. It also allows the paint to adhere to the wall better if you sand in between the coats. So look, there's many different ways of doing this. You'll have other people saying you should use this brush and use that. All this is I'm giving you my experience, what I do, and how it works for me. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'd also like to thank Benjamin Moore for supplying all the materials that I need to make this video. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. Again, my name is Andy, and I'm from Andy Arts Painting. Thanks.